I tell you what, if our ancestors didn't have garbage pits, we wouldn't know what they were up to. Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to Pretty Good Cooking.
Pretty good.
Tonight on the show, I, at the last minute, decided to make something completely different from what I had planned. I was going to make yet another rice and lentil dish. I had some time to kill this afternoon, and I was flipping through my grandmother's copy of Julia Child's The Art of French Cooking. I think that's what it's called. Julia Child's book on French cooking. And I was looking through the recipes, and it's really cool because there's like annotations and like bookmarks that my grandma threw in there, including like some old, I don't know, junk mail from the 60s or something like that. At any rate, I saw a recipe for chicken fricassee, and I thought that sounds interesting to make because I've never had it, I've never made it. But like I remember in childhood, like there were so many like films and shit that like always talked about fricassee, and I thought it was funny because they started with the word frick. So tonight I'm going to teach you how to make chicken fricassee. It is not Julia Child's recipe. It's not anybody's recipe. I don't know.
Your recipe. Yeah.
I guess it's mine, but like I don't know if it's gonna be right. So here's a picture of what we'll end up making here in the next hour or two. Hope it's good. All right, so we're gonna start with a pot. You could use any pot, but I'm using the Dutch oven tonight, and we will get it preheated over relatively low heat. And in my research, I actually did a little bit of research. Basically, fricassee is a method of cooking meat that is somewhere between sauteing, somewhere between stewing. Somewhere between those two. And Julia Child comments that she's seen a lot of recipes called fricassees that should have been called sautés or should have been called stews, but really it's somewhere in between where you lightly saute the meat. It's not done at all, but then you finish it by stewing it with liquid. And so we'll be doing that tonight. We're gonna put things in this like cream and wine, and like how can you go wrong with that? Like that's gonna taste pretty good. So because we're stewing, we're gonna use dark meat. I've got fryer thighs and fryer drumsticks. Fryer in this context probably just refers to the size of the chicken, so it's a relatively small chicken. Fryer chickens I think are 2 to 3 pounds typically, but in the age of giant chicken titties, I mean who knows if that still applies, but at least in the 60s that's what it was. And this is way too much chicken, but it was the cheapest way to get it, so I'll only be using part of this. My guess is that I'll be able to fit 4 thighs and 4 drums into the pot. So let's go ahead and prepare those. We're gonna pat them dry so that they crisp up a little bit more nicely. Really no need to trim. You can leave all that fat on there. Most likely if there's any excess fat, it'll just kind of render off a little bit. But I am trying the chicken, and we'll be back when I'm done, I suppose. Okay. By the way, I'm drinking white wine on ice cubes from a box. And this is partially because it's a little bit more of a mellow day for me, but also in the spirit of Julia Child. Like I was reading that book, the first chapter is just called wine. Okay, so I'm gonna use some ghee. You could use just about any cooking fat, but I think ghee would be nice. So we'll add a little bit of that. Let's salt our chicken a little bit. We're gonna salt it several times, I imagine, but whatever. I'm not really worried about it. So I'm gonna let that heat up slightly. You can see already there's a little bit of vapors coming off. So let's go ahead and get our chicken cooking. And really it's more of a saute than a sear. I was looking at different recipes or versions for this. A lot of people were like, sear that shit. I don't really think that's what a fricassee is. You should not crowd the pot, but here we are. You knew I would. And the note that I saw time and time again on Authentico recipes is only saute it until it's golden brown. So don't necessarily need it to get like big chunks of MacLeod reaction, the mallard the duck reaction. So we're just giving it a light saute, and I'm gonna salt it again. So really that should only take a couple minutes. Just give it a couple minutes each side, we'll flip it over, show you how that works. Now while that's going, we can work on prepping other things. And if you want to be fancy, which I know that you do, you probably would want to use pearl onions, but I have sworn off pearl onions ever since the incident. I cooked some dish and chose to individually peel those pearl onions, and I swore never again. So I'm just going to use a yellow onion. And you can use half an onion, use a full onion. You can slice it however you like, but this is substituting like pearl onions So I'm just gonna use half a sliced onion. All right, so there's my half an onion, which by the way, if you're not on the PGC Discord server, we now have half an onion emojis. Like this. Here's our mushrooms. These are mini bellas. I didn't actually want these, but it's what the store had. I would prefer Crimini, I think. I'm separating the stems from the caps. I'm gonna give everything a quick wash. There's what, 5 mushrooms? No, there's 6. I'm trying to be a little bit better about washing my food. I got a little sick recently, so you'll see me wash things more than I used to. At least until I get over it. I'm not over it. I should clarify, I got sick from not washing garden vegetables enough. I'm fully recovered. I like to thinly slice mushrooms. If you buy the pre-sliced ones, that's fine. I just don't like the thickness of those as much. We're gonna chop the stems too, because I think they'll cook down just fine. Chop them into nice circles. It's totally edible. Sometimes the texture is not as nice. Most likely these will just crumble down and be fine. Ooh. Chopped off a finger. Alright, chicken should be ready for flipping. Look at that, golden brown. That's about what you want, really. We're cooking on a lower heat than we would otherwise. We're not searing, we're just browning a little bit. So a couple more minutes on that. What else can we do? What else can we do? Alright, our chicken's done. Well, it's not done, but it's done in this stage. You can see it's nice lightly browned chicken. Put it on a obviously clean plate. All right, and now we will add to this nice fatty pot the mushies. And you could add, especially if you're using pearl onions, you could add all of them at the same time. But I got just like the sheer volume of mushrooms. I wanna get with them first. And this is in part because with mushrooms, I like them when they have like a nicer crisp on them before they get cooked down. So I'm hoping to cook them first. You see they've already absorbed all the fat. So we'll go ahead and throw in a little bit of olive oil. Julia Child is all about butter and oil. Just keep adding fats, it's gonna taste great. And you could do this over like medium-ish heat, I would say. The more time you give this, the nicer it's gonna be. But you know, PGC, we ain't got that much time. So I'm gonna see if I can get these to brown a little bit. And not just from oxidation, I like to cook brown. So we'll be back in a couple minutes. All right, so I almost switched things up again today. It's a weird day. I was at the store and I was like, maybe I'll just buy chicken stock this time. And I got there to the aisle, I looked at the prices and I was like, no. So, I'm gonna make my signature kitchen sink stock. Waiting for the water to get a little warm. Big blob of yellow. And using that sink water, we'll mix it on up. It's gonna be extra luxurious because I used the butter spoon.
Did the comment from that one guy about lead in the pipes make you concerned?
No. That guy should get his pipes checked. Literally and figuratively. Lead in the pipes. If I got lead in the pipes, it can take me. I think like when the Romans, they would like lace their wine cups with lead because it made it taste good. And they, you know, they had an empire for a while. How much did I make? I made 2.5 cups-ish. That's fine. It's a good amount. Of course, I have other liquids to measure. And I might have jumped the gun on making that stock. Guess I could pour it into another container. Something that's interesting is that just sauteing the mushrooms a bit picked up some of the good bits on the bottom. So we've almost deglazed the pot just by cooking mushies. I'm gonna go ahead and add the onions. A lot of recipes I looked at really just were saying like, you don't gotta spend that much time on this stage. I kinda think you do. I mean, it's gonna taste a lot better if you cook your mushrooms and onions down a little bit. I mean, if you don't, will they cook down? Yeah, because you're gonna be cooking it in the sauce. But it'll taste even better if you let them develop a little bit of brown on the outside. And by the way, we should preheat the oven to the most holy of temperatures, 350 degrees. You don't gotta move it around as much as I am. I'm just acting like I'm cooking. I added salt. I'm moving this stock into a bowl because I need the measuring cup. Oh, damn it. You can see there's little shits in there. Who cares? Not me. All right, I got about 2 tablespoons of flour. Here's the flour. And you're just gonna shake that over your vegetables. By the way, yesterday I watched a German public access documentary about Mennonites living in South America, which is crazy, by the way. But they speak like 3 or 4 languages. Some of the people they were talking to, and I was just dying. It's not polite to laugh at how people talk, but all the Mennonite farmers call them vegetables. We like to work hard and we want to sell our vegetables. Got me every time. You're really just gonna cook that flour for a minute or 2. Not even 2, that's way too much. But you can see that even just in that short amount of time, it builds up on the bottom. You don't want that to burn. So we will add 1 cup of wine. It needs to be a dry white wine, and it could be from the box. This is a Boda Pinot Grigio. And there it is. You can turn the heat up a little bit if you want. Really doesn't matter too much at this point. And splash that on there. And if you are using a Dutch oven like this, you can use a safe tool to scrape up some of that tasty stuff off the bottom. And that's one of my favorite things about this La Crusade, is that the coating is so good I can actually like scrape on it with things and it works. But check out, look at how translucent, or opposite translucent, opaque that is. It's like milky just from that little bit of flour and wine and then the fat that we had in there. So that's pretty cool. Let that cook for just a short minute. And then we're gonna add some herbs. This is totally optional, but I got that poultry blend, which is rosemary, thyme, and sage. And you could bouquet garnish this, you could try hard, or you could just give it a rinse and throw it in, which is gonna taste exactly the same. Just might not be that pleasant at the end. I'm gonna just plop it in. Look how silky that is. That's pretty great. Okay. All right. So look at this sauce. Already, this sauce looks nice. I would eat this on anything. We are just beginning. So to this, we are going to add our chicken stock. Look at that fresh chicken stock. Just made this. And there's a couple of things you could add to this that would be nice. So you could add a little bit of sugar if you wanted to. This would be like a balancer because this is going to be such a heavy, lots of fat in this dish. A little sugar can help balance that. So just maybe a teaspoon of sugar. Now another nice thing would be to add a little lemon juice. Lemon, lemon, lemon. You want to be fancy, you can squeeze it into your palm in hopes of avoiding seeds. And all right, so now we're gonna nestle our chicken pieces into the pot. Depending on how much chicken you have, they should basically just kind of sort of just being covered, pretty close to that. I'll tell you what, already looks pretty much like it's gonna be amazing. Got good juju for this fricassee. Look how easy it is to fit all those in now. Plenty of room. Chicken shrinks when you cook it. Take your juice, pour that on in there. Can't waste good juice. All right. I'm gonna bring this up to a simmer. It's already pretty close. And then we're gonna put the whole thing into the oven. And basically we're gonna like stew or braise the chicken that's already been sauteed. And you can see that we're already pretty close to that simmer. Some recipes will tell you to cover it. I think there's enough liquid that it could just cook down and the chicken will it'll absorb the juices like this. The chicken itself will put its hands out and take the juice. That's close enough. Let's put her in my hot grabbies. And there we go. Most likely that'll take half an hour to 45 minutes. We'll check it, but it really shouldn't take too terribly long to do. And while that's cooking, you can prepare sides. We'll be cooking tiny potatoes as a traditional, old school type of side. And then I need to get some parsley from outside, which we'll use for a garnish. Courtney's been telling me to use the parsley. That's because the plants are overcrowded. All right, here's the parsley. So I will be chopping the outside bits that are competing with this mint. And that's plenty of parsley. Follow me. So I thoroughly washed the parsley and then I'm gonna finely mince it. You don't have to remove the stems like I'm sort of doing now, but the bigger they are, the less pleasant they are to eat, I would say. So when you're chopping it, probably get rid of some of the stems. I got this very nice sharp knife, courtesy of the Virginia gang. But we're actually gonna use this as a garnish on the main dish, but we're gonna put it on a side dish too. People went nuts about parsley back in the day. Truly, that's an herb that's fallen from grace. People don't care about parsley no more. Maybe that's what's wrong with America. Not enough parsley consumption. I'm boiling these small potatoes because small potatoes are delicious. If anyone tells you that you're small potatoes, tell them small potatoes are good. What are you talking about? And they'll look at you like you dumb, which is probably why they called you a small potato. We're gonna boil these and then I'm gonna toss them in some butter and parsley with the idea of trying to get the aesthetic of the times of yore where they were like, I just want this food and to not be that complicated. It's just amazing how tastes change, you know, like, you know, we would like probably saute chopped potatoes that have like a nice crisp penis to them. But back in the day, they were like, no, I want my food to be soft. I don't know. All right, it's been about half an hour. Let's check on that chicken. It smells amazing. Ugh. Now, my inclination is that this is probably done, but the way we'll test is by pulling out a piece of chicken and giving it a bit of a poke, and you can see that it's already tender. It's got a nice give to it, but it's clearly done. This chicken's done. Okay, now I'm gonna try hard. Yeah, me. We're gonna try to thicken this sauce by tempering egg yolks in some of that sauce, which I've never done before. Possibly ruin the whole dish. We'll see. So here's our egg. I don't really need anything with the egg yolk right now, so I'm just gonna let it go away. So 1 yolk and 2 yolks. If the yolk breaks, that's fine. You're gonna kind of mix it together anyways. So go ahead and ladle. You want about a ½ cup of this juice. And if there's like some mushrooms or whatever in there, that's fine. Something like that. And in yet another bowl. So many bowls. We are going to beat the eggs like so. Probably would have made sense for me to pour that in first. It's fine. And with that hot broth, we're gonna temper these eggs, which means that we're gonna slightly cook them just with this small amount of liquid. And the idea is that it's able to blend in just a smaller amount, a little bit at a time, rather than just throwing it into your sauce. Because if you just threw it in, it probably would just scramble the eggs, which is not really what you want. But you can see here that we have no ribbons, just nice thicker stuff. And I am a dummy, slight dummy. And I forgot that you're supposed to remove the chicken first before this step, which is okay. There's no problem. We can do that just fine. So this is not going to be the same as thickening with cornstarch. If you thicken with cornstarch, you're going to have more of a high viscous. This is going to be more of a rich, it's like, it'll be a little richer, but it'll be, it'll be a little thicker, but primarily it'll be even more rich than it already was. Which is kind of absurd when you think about how rich this probably already is. Okay, this is our chicken. So you can go ahead and pour that back in. Oh, I forgot to add the cream. We'll repeat that process, that's no problem. I'm a dummy. I thought I did something wrong. So what I was supposed to do is whip the yolks with the cream and then temper it, but I forgot. So we can just start with 1/4 and 1/8 cup of cream. That was pretty zany looking. And we'll mix it together. And this really, I'm not too worried about it mixing up correctly, because you can see even just here that that's looking pretty damn nice. And it's like a fairly thin sauce. If we wanted to, we could cook it a little bit more, but I'm gonna taste it. Ah, yeah, that's really good. I do think that I want to bring that up to heat briefly. Just elevating the temperature slightly, it'll like help the eggs that we just put in there cook a little bit. Thicken this up just a bit. All right, so let's plate it up. We will have a fricassee chicken accompanied by a fricassee drum. And we'll add our butter and parsley potatoes, just a few of them. And we will ladle the sauce over the chicken, making sure to get some nice mushrooms and onions. And with a plate like this, I like to add enough sauce to fill up the well in the bottom of the plate. I think it'll be nice with the potatoes too. So here is our fricassee chicken. Forgot to garnish with some parsley. This wouldn't be complete without it. All right, let's try a complete meal. The chicken should be so tender I can just use a butter knife. It's certainly ample. So chicken in the sauce. You really don't have to add this much sauce. I just like sauce a lot, and I'm struggling. It's like obviously cooked well. That is delicious. The chicken is like perfectly cooked in that it has some of the like firmer qualities of being sauteed, but it's not like braised to the point of it falling apart. So it's very nice and juicy. One of the advantages of cooking this way, from what I read, is that it reheats really well. But this is just like savory overload. It tastes like home cooking. And yeah, that is really, really good. I've been thinking about making more kinds of foods like this. People ain't be cooking this that often, so we'll see. Maybe this will be a new thing. But I highly recommend this. And yeah, that's how you do it. See you next time on Pretty Good Cooking, the YouTube show that you just watched. Bye.